Oh man. So man, how you been?
Been pretty good. Can't complain. Had an interesting year so far. It's coming close to an end, so it's like it's definitely been like one of the most interesting years of my life. A lot of different stuff has been going on from a lot of medical stuff, health issues, that kind of stuff, and
Anything that you would care to share?
yeah. Um, what was it? June 8th, I believe, is what the actual date was. Well, even before then. I guess the best way to start off was December of 2016. My dad got diagnosed with sleep apnea,
Mm-hmm.
and throughout with Hayden and Jackson's mom, it was always like, oh, you snore, and you don't stop snoring, snore louder than everybody I've ever met, all this and that, and so I was like, oh, maybe I have sleep apnea too. Go to my family practitioner, go in. He sticks, a little thing with the light and everything on
Yeah.
my nose, and he was like, oh, you gotta go see an ENT. Like, your nose collapsed on the side, your nasal cavity, or passage cavity, same thing. And I'm like, all right, go see an ENT. They schedule a surgery for me on January 31st to have turbinate shaving, septoplasty, and then to rebuild my orbital. Don't know what happened. I mean, I can't remember ever getting punched in the face. The only thing I could think of was a car accident from like a long, long time ago. And so I go through, have the surgery. Everything feels fine. Breathe, no problem. Um, then, what was it I think it's June 8th, somewhere right around there. I had gotten home from work and had a seizure. Like, just random. Like, grand mal seizure. Didn't remember anything. Woke up. I was talking to my mom, and I was like, yo, I think I just had a seizure. Like, I don't
Oh
know
shit.
what is going on. And apparently in the middle of me just talking about it, boom, fell down, had another seizure. Then we went to the hospital, everything. They put me on medication for anticonvulsants, anti-seizure medication, and started seeing a neurologist. So after, I want to say it was like my third time going, I had like the EKG and the MRI, CAT scan, all that stuff. Um, my neurologist said that I had epilepsy, and he was like, well, unfortunately with epilepsy, it's such a broad disorder that all it is it's the condition of having seizures.
Yeah.
So, a seizure can be set off by, lights, sounds, stressors, which is what he originally thought it was for me. There's no way of really telling unless that same exact thing sets off your seizures every single time, or a combination of things. So that kind of put a damper on a lot of things. Like, I wasn't able to drive for a while, so it was pain to get to work. And then so I went back and had to do another CT scan. And on the second one, they were like, "Hey, there's a 2.5 millimeter retention cyst behind your eye."
Oh shit.
And so I mean, it's non-cancerous, obviously.
That's
I mean,
good.
um, but so they're like, it shouldn't be a problem. Like, stuff like that happens in the is the sphenoid. I want to say it's called the sphenoid sinus cavity. So basically, go throughout my business, trying to adjust back to life, everything like that, and I start having seizures more frequently, even though I'm taking my medications, all that stuff. Stop drinking, stop smoking for a while, like trying to narrow out like everything. I started working out more, started eating better, dropped like maybe about 45 to 50 pounds, and just trying to like take better care of myself. And it was like things weren't stopping with it. So I went back and I was meeting with my neurologist, and he just kind of felt like a little puzzled. And he was just like, are you sure there's like any, like, basically just went through my whole medical history, surgeries, that kind of stuff. And he kind of like put two and two together. He was like, hey, well, this, this retention cyst could be putting, X amount of pressure on the brain, this
Yeah.
and that, yada, yada, yada. So he was like, all right, I'm going to order you another MRI. At this point, the retention cyst turned from just like being like a little tiny little buildup of crap, whatever it is, into an actual mass and grew in like 6 times in size. So started getting shots of like cortisone in my head to see if that would help like lessen the cyst. And then it's just like, oh, you know what? Well, probably gonna have to go the surgical route. But I mean, the likelihood of like something like that becoming cancerous is very, very, very small. I mean, it would be just like getting cancer anywhere else, So it's not. I mean, that's one thing I am grateful for. I mean, even though it's really like put a huge damper on a lot of things, because my youngest son lives up in Fort Worth. It's what, like 250 miles away.
Yeah, about a 4.5, 5 hour drive, depending on how you drive.
Yep.
But no, that's good that the tumor isn't cancerous, man. I mean, that my mother died of cancer, colon cancer, like back in 2012, and that's just a rough road to go down if anyone ever has to go down that road. Just seeing a loved one just being treated like that, the treatments alone, and then fortunate enough we had great insurance, and just you see the bill of what the insurance covers, and then what we have to pay, what my mother had to pay was like $80 compared to like, I think a chemo treatment was like 10, 20, something like $10,000 to $20,000, and she only had to pay like.
But it was. I mean, I remember chemo being like really expensive.
Yeah.
But.
And then like some treatments would cost up to like $50K, and she only had to pay like $100.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. I mean it's like, especially like with a lot of those drugs being easily accessible but overly priced. I'm not gonna name drop anybody, Martin Shkreli, but it's like it's. I mean, I'm glad that we have opportunities here that we do, and a lot of it for me with my medical problems, what's really helped me get through, because before I used to be a really religious person. Now I'm kind of, we'll just say I'm kind of not religious. We'll go with that.
You move the mic closer, just so
I was like,
can pick you up a little bit better.
Oh, I should probably stop like leaning back in the chair.
No, just move the mic with you, man. It's mobile.
I just tie something to it, and so that way if I lean back, it just comes with me. But yeah, so the big thing for me is, like, as you know, like, for me, I've been playing music for damn near 20 years now. Like 18 years, so. And my thing is, after my, Hayden, my firstborn, was born, I just kind of dropped music. Before I was doing shows all the time. I'd done tours, recorded albums out of state,
You remember what was the name of those bands and albums that you did?
Oh, gosh. The most recent one was Homecoming. Album Hearts and Minds. We recorded with a very fine gentleman named Corey Gable out in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I think you can still get that album on iTunes. I know it's still on Spotify, and we put that out, what was it, July 4th of 2012. I believe is when we put that one out.
Oh wow, I think that's the year that we first met, was like January, February of that year, 2012.
No, was it 20?
I think so. I'll never forget the place that doesn't exist anymore.
Good old Boston's.
Boston's Pub. I can't believe, like, remember how that place used to, like, it was like a club on Friday and Saturday nights?
It was ridiculous. It was like, I've never seen a bar
have
go
a line
like nothing
around the building.
Like, go from literally, like, okay, it's Monday night, there's like 2.5 people in here.
And then Thursday night comes around and...
Yeah, and it's people waiting for hours to get in.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
And it's like, it wasn't even set up like a club. That was the thing that, like, blew my mind, is like they were able to turn that into, like, that club type environment without it even resembling one whatsoever.
I think what helped was that it had that circle bar in the middle. Like, the bar was in the middle of the place. I
mean, they have some damn good bartenders. I mean, I still work with Carlos and Orly. I see Kelly around. I mean, it's still good to, like, keep those friendships and everything after all those years.
I stopped by Cloak and Dagger, talk to Oily from time to time, have a drink or two.
That's a real nice spot, too.
And I mean, he's just been awesome. But shoot. But anyways, sorry about that
No,
sidetrack.
no,
back to your music, man.
It's just crazy thinking about that stuff and how long that's been.
Yeah.
Really puts time into like perspective for you.
Like it seems so long, but it's like a short period of time.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it feels like it's 10 years, but it's like, you know, a year and a half, 2 years, well, 5 years in this case.
5 years,
but still half as long. But one of my things was is I decided that I was going to jump back into music. For me, I always wanted to be the guy that, you know, went out there and did it and made it big, and it's all I cared about for so many years. Like, I at least 2/3 of my musical career. But then I just started to think, hey, you know what? This music should be personal. It should be for me. I don't care what it is. You know, I was always trying to do whatever genre was hot at the time, you know, whether it was, you know, metal or pop music or, you know, now in this case, I'm actually, and I mean, you wouldn't expect it looking at, you know, a white guy with a beard and, you know, a shit ton of tattoos is...
Damn hippie.
Mean, yeah, especially one that's like, you know, I'm like the furthest, like, Texan from Texas, like, or Texan from being a Texan, whatever you want to say. And I'm actually putting out an 11-song country album under the name, under the name Wayne James and the Chain Gang. It's more, there's a couple songs that are more on the folk side of things, a little bluegrass influence. I definitely brought in a lot of pop song structure into it. Not like Rascal Flatts, like Florida Georgia Line. Every song sounds different, I promise. But the I've always had a thing for like the pop country.
Yeah.
Like some of it's terrible, but I mean I know there's a lot of heat, especially in Texas, with Texas country being as phenomenal as it is. I mean, that's something I can never, you know, live up to. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take the safe route and play the pop country.
Have you heard of Wheeler Walker Jr.'s music?
Mm-mm.
Oh, man. He takes country music up to a whole different level. Like, his albums are not allowed in Walmart, Best Buy, or any of the big name brands just because, like, his music's so, like, explicit. Like
Hank 3?
Yeah, no, worse. He'll man, I wish I mean, they're ridiculous, but they're awesome, and like he's just gaining more and more support. Like after the podcast, like I play some of his music.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
And it's ridiculous, but it's funny and it's catchy. Like, but I'm really surprised that you're doing country music.
Yeah, I'm
of
actually,
all people.
Country music. I'm actually gonna drop a mixtape. Mark my words, it's gonna happen. And I mean, like, how this all started was, you know, with me doing all these projects, because I think right now I'm up to, let's take a look, that I have names for and have done artwork for, put songs together, all that good stuff. Let's see, I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 different projects that I've just compiled music for. Some have 2-3 songs. Some of them have, well, up to my country stuff, which is 11 songs.
And when are you expecting to drop that country song? Or country album, I should say.
The whole album, I really wanted to get it out by Christmas, because I actually had to scrap a song from it because I'm not gonna have it out, you know, with anywhere near enough time. It was a Christmas song, very bluegrassy. I play spoons in it. Like, it's real, like, just real gritty, like, kind of home feeling country stuff, you know? And the vocals are just very haggard on that song, I will just say. I mean, I don't mean to say, like, oh, they sound bad, but it's just real grimy and just, you know, feel like you're on the front porch playing the music type stuff.
Hey, that's what some people like, though.
Yeah,
some people like to feel that hominess voice. Like they want to feel like you're singing off of the front porch.
And I mean, the other stuff, you know, I have stuff where it's really heavy death metal that I play 8-string guitars in. Your traditional, like, New York punk hardcore stuff. I have a Mumford & Sons basically rip-off band that I've yet to come up with a name for. Because I think it was something really clever. Because that was my thing. Like, how I got started with all of these different projects is I went out drinking with a buddy one night, and we're just, we're sitting around talking shit, and I'm like, yo, man, I should start I forgot which one it was. I was like, oh, yeah, I should start a homoerotic Nine Inch Nails cover band and call it 9 Inch Males. And then from that it turned into like, oh, I should start, an all horns Hoobastank cover band called Tubastank. So, and then it just turned into, going beyond that and just making ridiculous names. And I would just started making I would get bored and just make some album artwork for him, just, real silly stuff. And he was just like, why don't you start getting back into doing graphic design and stuff for bands? I was like, yeah, why not? Okay, I'll make up a couple serious bands, band names, that kind of stuff, to kind of sample out my work. So that way I don't have to go reach out and try to find stuff. And so I started making some stuff. And then I thought to myself one night when I was sitting there, and I was like, well, some of these band names are not half bad. Why don't I just start these bands and start writing this music? So just got together some, loose change, old equipment, started getting back into, just audio engineering on as basic as a level as you can, especially to get the quality of the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And just kind of started going at it. And there'd be days at first where it would be like I could not think of a lick to save my life. And there'd be times where I'd put out 4 or 5 songs in one day. But, I'd also be sitting there for damn near 16 hours. And then it kind of hit me. I was like, yeah, why don't I do 30 songs in 30 days? I did it. I mean, I wanted it to be more of a one song for every day type thing. Mm-hmm. But then me being a father and working a full-time job and then bartending and trying to do all that.
Life gets complicated.
I was like, man, there is not enough coffee in the world to keep me up that long. So I was like, all right, I'll just do the amount of songs in the amount of days. So, I mean, if I did 90 in one day and then I just took, the next 89 days off, I did 90 in 90. So once I hit 90 songs in 90 days, I was like, screw it. I'm going to do 365 songs, 365 days. And I've got myself a little bit of a cushion right now, because right now I'm at, so I know it's just been over 107 days. And I am at, let's see, in this one, so I should have wrote this stuff down.
Don't worry about it, dude. It's all good. The main thing is that you just keep driving through, you keep pushing through. No matter what, you write a song.
Yes, it's
either once a week, twice a week, whenever you got some free time, whenever it comes to mind, just write a song. Yes. You hear a phrase, write it down, because that could be an inspiration to a song or a different type of genre that you want to do. It could be even a whole different start to a project that you want to do.
Oh yeah, and I mean a lot of things, a lot of my my close friends and family get really pissed off because I become really invasive. So I'm like, hey, what's going on in your life? Who are you talking to? Let me hear it. I need inspiration, something, because it's this consuming my life. I've said a lot of my personal life, to the back burner. As a result of just trying to do all this stuff, and it's still been rewarding. I mean, things have certainly come in ways that I wasn't expecting. Mm-hmm. So just to give you an idea of the amount of songs I know right now in this folder, I have 102 songs that are not yet mixed. So, and then I have that are actually mixed and mastered. I have 47. So I have a good cushion. I've really been pumping out, even though it's been a lot of recycled old songs from bands that I never put out, or acoustic songs, it's that. But anyway, getting back. So it's for me, I stopped dating after me and my son's mom split up. And me diving headfirst and stuff, I actually met a lovely young lady that I've been dating for a month, some change, sweetheart. She's a complete
No,
sweetheart.
no kids on the way yet.
No more children for me. I'm done. I'm done having kids.
You tying the tubes?
Yeah. It's like I want to be able to actually afford and like have the energy to go do stuff when they get to the college age.
Like I don't know what it's like to have a kid. I see friends with kids, and I read a lot about what it's like having a kid, like something that's in the range of like $30,000-$40,000 a year on a kid, and just the time it's like putting like a 80-hour work week.
Yeah, at least
to raising a kid, and just reading that, I'm like, wow.
I mean, I got really lucky, man. Like both of my boys are so well mannered, so well behaved.
Oh yeah, Hayden, he's just like,
he just chills.
I don't know what I want to watch. You want to watch hockey? Yeah.
Yeah, he's a trip. Like, and it's funny because like I was just like, man, I was such a little shit growing up. Like my kids are gonna be terrible, and I got so blessed. I mean, they listen. They're brilliant kids. Hell, Hayden would rather watch hockey. Watch the Chicago Blackhawks with me.
Yeah, one of your favorite things to do.
Like, yeah, it's like for anybody that knows me, like hockey is one of the most important things to me. And the fact that he would much rather do that than watch your typical, 5-year-olds cartoons is awesome. And I mean, the kid loves Star Wars. Like, I mean, I get like that stuff can be kind of popular, or like could be popular.
You know what you need to get them hooked on? You need to get them hooked on that new Voltron series that came out on Netflix.
Voltron.
Dude, you don't know Voltron? The original Voltron series? What?
No.
It was
something right now.
It was an animated cartoon series.
It sounds familiar.
That they were guardians of like the universe, and they had robot lions, and all of them would connect into like a giant robot.
It sounds like Power Rangers, man.
Yeah. Well, that's where Power Rangers got the idea from. But it was like,
holy crap! I do remember this.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And now there's a new series that just came out like two years ago.
Man, hold on. Like I'm like taken back by this right now, because like I have some of these like those toys.
Yeah.
And I actually found them because Hayden got real into Power Rangers, which by the way, like going back and watching that, like 25 years later,
you realize how ridiculous the plots were,
and how bad it was. Like it was just so bad. But like I mean, the new movie came out was phenomenal.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's man. It has a little bit of like cheesiness at certain parts, but it's more for comedic relief, and it's done very tastefully. The soundtrack's great. I mean, it's a lot of the whole like hipster Black Keys-ish rock kind of stuff, and I mean it's awesome how they tie everything in, and they use so much soundtrack to actually boost it, and it's not just your typical run of the mill cinematography based.
And you're making it sound so good. I got caught up in like really in the memes on Facebook of it just talking trash about the movie. Oh, you're another teen movie with racial and teen problems, high school theme movie.
I mean, I would have never thought about that unless you brought that up. But now that you think about, like, I think about it, I'm like, damn, yeah, it is certainly have a lot of the whole, appealing to the preteens type stuff because, I mean, what, Power Rangers stopped being popular after like the second series when they had the cars and stuff?
I don't know if it ever stopped being popular because they kept on producing more and more shows.
Well, I saw that, but like, I mean, I feel like, but when we were young, that was like,
I feel like Power Rangers, it was the shit from like elementary to probably like, I want to say freshman year in high school for me.
Like, I mean, like.
And then Pokemon and Digimon got in the mix.
Oh yeah, well that definitely did.
And I always pick Digimon over Pokemon just because they talk back to you.
Don't tell that to Hayden. Like he'll freak out. Well, you remember Street Sharks?
Oh yes.
I completely forgot about that one too, and it was.
I watched the video of that on YouTube recently, and I was like, wow,
It takes you back.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, because that was like 91, 92, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, like just seeing those stuff now just still trips me out, and I'm just like, I think I can actually hear Star Wars.
Yeah, I think so.
There
I
we
think
go.
my brother might have put it on for
Yeah, Hayden's
for
going off
Hayden.
on it.
Yeah.
But oh man, what was I just saying? Street Sharks. I was going somewhere with it, man. I can't even remember now.
Well, I'll take us on another side trip. There's this cartoon, animated cartoon, probably 91, 92, and every time I describe it to people, they're all like, "Oh, you're talking about Gundam." I'm like, "No, it's not Gundam. It was like this cartoon where they fought inside robots, but it was in outer space. Like they fought on different planets, and like this prince would just go around saving other civilizations from like conquerors.
Escaflowne?
I don't know.
Hold on, I have to like bring up a picture and stuff.
But
that does sound like Escaflowne.
But like in the middle of his chest was like a red ruby, something like that. And I haven't been able to find it. I go deep on my Google searches trying to find that, and I never come close.
I'm gonna laugh if this is it.
What is it?
Because I've never seen it in my life, to be honest with you. Is that it?
Dude, that's it.
That's it?
That's it. What? Wow, I haven't seen that in forever.
No, because, okay, so check this out. So, back in,
What's the name of it?
Escaflowne.
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 Wow. I've been looking for that forever.
So there's I used to love Gundam growing up. Like Gundam, when Toonami would do the whole like Dragon Ball, Gundam, Dragon Ball Z, Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, you're gonna hate me. I never watched a single episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh no, that's fine. I'll forgive you on that one. I thought you were gonna say Cowboy Bebop. I was about to throw this chair. So this kid, like, I'd always bring up Gundam, and all I would ever hear him say is like he just rambled, couldn't understand a damn word except for Escaflowne, and it made me never want to watch it just because I could not stand that kid. And now I think I'm actually gonna go check it out now. Like we should actually just sit down and like watch it.
Oh yeah, like our nights after drinking, we go watch either Final Fantasy VII or
watch the whole timeline, the chronological timeline of it.
Or Hellraiser 1 and 2,
and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 because we're too hungover to get out of bed.
Those are crazy nights. We just
always going to Whataburger.
Whataburger, and then go home and watch Hellraiser or Final Fantasy the
Advent Children.
Yep.
Yeah, that was that seems like so long ago, but I'm like, that was like, well, let's see, Hayden's 4.5, so give or take like 5 years.
Yeah.
Like some change.
I remember you always used to freak out about Dexter because Dexter would be be jumping on you, and then you just tell him, go kennel Dexter, kennel, and he just goes to his kennel, and you're like, how does he do that?
Like he would be like, it didn't matter what he was doing. Like it didn't matter like if he was like mid jump and you told him kennel, he would stop mid jump in the middle of the air and just like turn over and fly into the kennel. Like,
and just a side note, Dexter is my dog. He's a mix between a pit bull and a Rottweiler. He's got this golden brown coat. And it's kind of faded now since he's a little older, and he's kind of a little bit chunkier because my dad just feeds him scraps all the time, and no matter how much I get after him, he's all like, I don't like to waste food. I'm like,
well, yeah, you always had him on like a strict diet too.
Oh,
like
that went away as soon as I moved in with my dad, and just so he could have like a backyard and everything, more room to run around.
Oh yeah, well I mean, cause you still took him out and shit. Like every time you get to the house, take him out. That boy had so much energy then.
Oh, he still does, man. He still does. You walk in through the front door, and he'll just like
attack you,
jump on you. Like there's sometimes when my dad will have the front door open, but the screen door closed, and he's just there. Like you can see him like moving around, like he's all excited. His tail's all wagging crazy. I open the door and I'm like, "Stay," and he's like just there, like he wants to pounce. He wants to pounce on me so bad. And as soon as I come in, he, like no matter how much I've tried to train him, no much I've tried to discipline him not to do that, he does it. Like, I don't mind. I kind of like it every time I come home from work.
Yeah, I mean, just have that sense of affection given to you.
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna shut the door real quick because I can hear Hayden blabbering in the background.
No worries. But shoot, man. Yeah. Yeah, it was just crazy how much you would freak out just every time you would tell him to go to his kennel and you'd run to his kennel. He still does that to this day.
See, that trips me out. I mean, that the first time I saw that, like, I'm like, man, this dog is going to attack me with like love, and sometimes I'm like, like I don't like dog slobber, so I'm just like, I'd rather like you just come and just like rip my throat out. But
He'll just lick your face. That's about it. Like, he just wants to lick your face.
well, just like the second he like jumped up at me, and you're just like kennel, and I was like, well, like, how did you do that? Like, now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I wonder if I could teach my kids that trick. Like,
I don't think you should teach that to kids.
yeah, I think it's like slightly frowned upon to put your children in a kennel.
But here's the crazy night, though. The first night I brought him home from the dog pound, he did not want to be in that kennel. Just crying, whimpering, like just making a fuss all night long. Finally, I just got tired of it, and I brought him from the kennel onto my bed and just laying next to me, and stopped crying. Finally got some sleep. You know what? Fine. Like, if he's gonna stop not cry so I can get some sleep, I'll put him in bed with me every night. And now, like, he sees that kennel not as punishment, but as his sanctuary.
Ah, yeah. See,
I find that so strange. Like, most dogs see that as a punishment to go in the kennel.
yeah. And you know what's funny is I absolutely hate it when people compare dogs to children, because I don't care what anybody says, they're not the same.
Oh.
But I understand the whole pet parent thing. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have kids, but you know you love your pet, but you will never love your pet as much as you love your child. Guarantee you that. If you are, then you shouldn't be a parent. But quick little rant. But the same thing was like when Hayden was born. You know, he did the co-sleeping thing.
Yeah.
He would sleep in the bed, in the middle. And it was hell trying to get him to sleep on his own. And now he's great. Like, I mean, it took a few months of, like, I'm talking about if we left him in there, door open, door closed, he would just scream. Like, he was terrified to be by himself. So when Jackson was born, I was just like, we're not co-sleeping at all. Like, he's going to be in the crib or in the bassinet, and that's that. And now both of them, I mean, I can just tell them, hey, go to bed, and they'll just go jump in bed and pass out. And it's funny, that I actually for once like saw like a comparable characteristic or similarity between children and an animal. Well, maybe those dog lovers are onto something.
Nah, they're not. You can't compare a dog to a child ever, or a child to a dog.
Yeah, but I mean, it to each their own. I mean, I get like I said, I get where the whole parent moniker type thing comes in play.
I don't see my dog as my child. I see him as like a companion. Like,
it's
there to go on.
It's
like,
lesser than you. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think he's lesser.
I don't want to say like
he's not lesser. He's just he's on a different like level of seeing life the way I see life. Is what I see.
He sees life a lot better than we do.
Oh yeah, and that's why like they seem so excited when you come home, because, like they say, 1 year is 7 years to a dog.
Yeah.
So like 1 day is like a couple days to them.
Yeah. Well, more. Well, I mean, that's like.
Well, like a couple hours, like 8 hours of you being at work is almost like a day in their life.
Well,
like,
one thing that I heard one time that I thought was really interesting, random as all hell, is dogs, like, they utilize all their senses. Not just, I mean, they have not the best sight,
Mm-hmm.
but you know they have phenomenal smell, taste,
Hearing.
hearing, all that stuff. So, you know, when you see like somebody driving down the road and they have the window down and the dog's head out there, and the dog is just like smiling, and I found out like the reason behind that, don't even remember how or why, but basically when they stick their head out, you know, they're being so overwhelmed in those three senses that they don't know what to do except for just like be happy, you know. I'm like, when I stick my head out the window, like my ears start popping and I'm just like, I want to jump out this window.
Meanwhile, while I have my dog, his head sticking out the window, I'm like freaking out. So is he gonna
Is he
jump
gonna
out?
jump?
Is he gonna?
It's man on the ledge situation.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what he's gonna do, because I remember one time we were at a stop sign and he jumped out, but that's because it was like some rodent or something he was like trying to chase. And fortunate enough, I jumped out quick enough where I could grab him.
Oh man, yeah. No, I don't know what I'd do. Like, I mean, I would obviously stop and like, you know, get my dog or my children. Of course, my children. But yeah, I have to like forget that like there's people that don't understand my sense of humor, and the darkness of it.
That's me every day. That's me every day. That's why I kind of like my job. Well, no, I not kind of like. I really like my job because of what I do, but also because the people, like, they get me, and I think they kind of like having my different like personality there, because I not only like say weird stuff, sometimes I say stupid stuff.
I mean,
And it doesn't go through my shut up filter, and it just I just blurt it out, and like they'll be quiet, and I'll go, I just said that wrong. That just came out totally wrong. And they're like, yeah, we weren't gonna tell you, but I was like, no, tell me every time I fuck up on something, just let me know.
Well, it's like, I mean, for me, like, I've always been a very like straightforward and blunt person, and I should have a filter more times than I actually do. We'll just say that.
But that's what makes you who you are.
Well, see, and that's I think the only reason why I'm a good bartender. Like, even though I've been doing it for so long, it's like, you know, I've bounced between, you know, like actual corporate 9 to 5 jobs, and then back. I always end up going back to bartending, and it's like, you know, yeah, the money's great. But I think it's also a lot of, I enjoy being able to go to work and
Be yourself.
Yeah, be myself. Like, I can sit there and like, okay, on a busy night when, you know, it's like I have to take, you know, 5-6 drink orders at a time. Excuse me. You know, you'll have people that are hanging over the bar top and they're just like smacking the bar, or they're like snapping or whistling or clapping, and they're just like, yo,
I got money in my hand, bro. I got money in my hand.
That's what I just tell them. I'm like, you know what? That is the worst fucking way to get my attention, because now I know who you are, and you're definitely not getting a drink from me. You can stay in here all night. You can flash whatever money. Just out of my sheer stubbornness and, like, me trying to prove a point. No. Like, that's just, like, how I've always been. And, you know, it's also, like, I've always been way too big for my britches. Like, I've always been so outspoken to the point where it's like, something will come out of my mouth and I'm like, oh, I just said that and I'm in trouble now. But at the same time, it's like, you know, at the bar, it's like, I know you came and saw me a few times when I was over at Pirates, and I mean, it was in a rougher side of town, so we'd have guys that would run up like $100 tabs, tip nothing on it. Like, blatantly put zero. You know, they wouldn't even lie and write, like, cash or something to at least, like, make themselves, like, they just blatantly didn't give a shit. And, I mean, it's not like we were negligent towards anybody over there.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we always kept it staffed to the point where everything was, you know, we had quick bartenders. And we had some amazing bartenders. But, you know, they'd rack up $100 tab, freak out, like, oh my god, how did I spend $100 buying for 13 people for the last 4 hours? And they, you know, they tip nothing, and then I would just see it, and I would look down at it, and I'd like look up, make eye contact with them, look down, look up, and then I'd pause the jukebox, and I'd just be like, well, I had a whistle. I had a really, 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 really awesome whistle that I used to love getting drunk and blowing. So I'd like blow the whistle, and I'd be like, ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I want to give a special shout out to Mr. John Doe for being the asshole of the night. He tipped absolutely nothing on a $100 tab. Let's give him a round of applause. And there were so many people that were like, man, why would you do that? Like, why would you just like call this dude out? And it's not just so like everybody knows that this guy didn't tip.
If you don't have money to tip, don't go out.
Oh yeah, and I mean like, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, me like having been in the service industry as long as I have, there's been a few times where I've straight up not tipped. But I mean, it takes a lot for me to do that. Like yesterday, I went to fucking McDonald's after I got off work to get me and somebody some food, and I ordered like 4 McMuffins and 8 sausage burritos and like another sausage or 4 sausage things, and the kid at the window was just like, do you have cash for all that? Because they only take cash after 2 a.m. Like apparently credit cards aren't a thing.
I think they just don't want people sometimes.
Yeah, I'm like
the one by my house is never busy, and the times that I've been there after 2:00 in the morning, they're all like, we're only serving breakfast items and we only want cash.
Yeah, they do that. They do that at the one over by Lackland. Like I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, that at Morbach?
No, military.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, it's still right there. I mean,
Yeah.
I live in between them, but yeah. I mean, it's so bad. And well, like the kid, he was just like, "Are you sure?" Like, I think he felt like he was being pranked because I'm like ordering a shit ton of food at like 4:00 in the morning, and I'm just like, I promise you, I am not doing any illegal substances that would make me have this type of appetite. Because it was just me in the car, and you know, I felt bad because I mean, this kid looked tired as hell, so. They came out to like 21 something, and I gave him $30, and I was like, "Here, dude, keep the change." And he was just like, "What? Why? Wait, what? Why are you doing this?" Like, you know, like just so confused. And I'm like, "Can you take tips or not?" And he was like, "I mean, I can." And I was like, "All right, then shut the fuck up and just take it," you know. Like, I didn't. But you know, there's also been times where you know I've gone and I've sat down at a bar, you know, ready to give my money, and I've always been a great tipper. Like, I've always been that guy that tips extra just because I don't necessarily believe in karma, but it would always make my shift whenever somebody would tip me more than I deserved.
Yeah.
So if somebody's, you know, good at what they do and they kind of go that extra mile, even if it's just having conversation with me, I'm definitely going to give them, you know, extra money for their extra time. And you know, there's like a couple times that, you know, I'm definitely not going to name drop any bars because I'm not going to talk any crap about anybody by name in the service industry unless they're terrible and they just don't need to be in business, but can't think of any of those. So I go to this establishment and I'm like, you know, bartender comes up, says, "Hey, you know, what can I get for you?" Blah, blah, blah. So I'm like debating because I mean, this was before like the point that I was just like, okay, let me get a shot of Rumple and Coke and a water, you know, like when I actually drank things that were bearable. But so I'm like looking. I was looking over a beer list or something, and me and this dude make eye contact like 6 times, and I'm like, you know, I placed the menu in front of me. First couple times, you know, I was like, whatever. Third time, I nodded at him, like, kind of give him a hint, and he was like talking to somebody in front of him. So I'm expecting like, okay, you know, be another minute, 2, 3, whatever, you know, slow, early in the night. And this dude just didn't come back over. I think I had to have been waiting there for like 10 minutes. And I get up to walk out. And he's like, "Hey, man, where are you going?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I've been ready, dude. Like, I've, you know, trying to flag you down in a respectable manner. And it's not." And he's like, "Oh, no, here. Let me go ahead and get you a beer." So I get the beer. And I didn't tip him on it. It was one drink. And he was like, "Dude, what the hell is your problem? Blah, blah, blah. I work for tips." And I was like, "Yeah, so do I. And I would never do that, you know? Like, you have to be really bad at that stuff." And that's you know, why I don't get a lot of this, I guess, entitlement that comes along with a lot of service industry workers. Is, you know, they talk about, the them making $2.13 an hour. You know, I mean that's what I make an hour. Now, if anybody in the service industry only makes minimum wage, they should not be in the service industry. Because if you're a server and you're working 40 hours and even a third of those shifts are during peak business hours,
Oh yeah.
like, and you're not going past the minimum wage threshold, you shouldn't be serving. You shouldn't be bartending. You need to find something else to do because you're just not good at it. Like, I've had shifts where it's like, you know, 10 people, and, you know, I've made far more money than I should without having to, you know, like, give away the bar or anything like that.
Yeah, I remember when I worked at this fancy restaurant. I was a bar back, and even as a bar back there, I was making decent money. Like I remember anytime, like, if we got out early enough, we would go to the bar down the street, and I'd probably spend more than I should every time, but somehow I always had rent money. So it makes me wonder how much money I really was making. I'm pretty sure I could go back and probably look at all my taxable income information, but I don't want to realize how much I was spending.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, man. When I just, like, kind of ballpark what I would make on an average night, and then I would work 8 shifts a week. So I guess 6 days, 3 of them, so 9 shifts a week. 3 days I did doubles, and but I mean, even going back real quick to, like, the minimum wage thing is, you know, I always see all this, like, outcry from service industry workers that are, like, tipped workers, and it's like, I have never ever met, and I don't think one has ever existed, somebody who is a tipped employee that lawfully claimed 100% of their cash tips. So it's like, oh, you know what, man, the government's stealing from us, but it, you know, are trying to screw us over on this and that, blah blah blah, and we don't make enough of this, so how can we live? But then it's like, you're shortchanging. I mean, even if you want to say screw the government, you're shortchanging people who should be getting Social Security.
Yeah.
You know, your grandparents, you know, or great grandparents, the people who cannot work anymore and have paid their dues by paying Social Security, then receive that money, so that way they're not abandoned. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you really want to get down to morals and ethics on it. So that's one thing that, like, I've never understood as to why that's such a huge issue when it comes to that. Because people just tend to look at me. You know, this is how this affects me.
That's what our society has been driven, is what I feel like, is it's become a me society.
Yep.
And I see that a lot on the roads, especially how people drive their vehicles.
Especially in San Antonio.
Since my job requires me to drive a lot, and I see how many people just blatantly cross over those double white lines, ignore yield signs, or they'll just cross over into a lane either without their blinking light on, or without any cares in the world. They'll just act like they're there on the road, or they'll come over even though they have their blinking light on. They think that gives them a right to move over into the lane that you're already in. Like, you're supposed to slow down for them?
It's like drivers in San Antonio are unbelievably narcissistic. It's like, I don't get it. Like, I mean, I've been. Well,
the problem is that we have a lot of people moving into San Antonio. Like, we have people from Cali, people from the up north that want to escape the harsh winter.
I mean, especially because we're the biggest Air Force city.
Yeah.
But it's like, it just baffles me, because I'm like, man, you know, like, I've been all over the country. I've been to all but, like, probably like 5 or 6 states, and I've never seen an entire population of drivers as bad as San Antonio. I mean, like, yeah, LA traffic sucks. Chicago traffic is just as bad. But it's like, in San Antonio, it's like they just, I mean, maybe, is it the only place that allowed people to get driver's license without going to driver's ed? I mean, like...
Hey, I didn't go to driver's ed.
Hey, neither did I. And, you know, I'm going to knock on wood before I say this. I have yet to been in a car accident while I was driving.
I've been in car accidents. All but one was my fault. And that was because I was 17. I think I was 17. Anyways, I went through a brick wall in my truck. In that same truck that's in the driveway. Went through a brick wall with that thing.
What was that? What was that old car that you used to have?
Oh, the Nissan Stanza?
Yeah. God.
I still have it.
No way.
Yeah.
Where's it at?
At my dad's house.
Oh, okay.
My dad actually loves Nissan Stanza. Like, he's a fanatic for them. He has actually like 4 running, and like 2 for spare parts.
Damn, that's cool.
Well, what do you expect from like a mechanic?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but I mean, it's just a random car. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's like okay, because you know how like 240SXs are like really popular. I mean, even though it's the whole like Tokyo Drift stuff.
Well, actually, in Australia, Nissan Stanzas are actually pretty popular. Like they modify them. They put some of them actually put Skyline engines in them.
They drive like Geo Trackers too.
Yeah.
Do they? Oh wait,
they have to add weight in
Australia
the trunk.
does actually. They have like a bunch of Geo Trackers over there.
They have to add weight into the trunk of the car, so that way it stabilizes. Because the Skyline engine weighs so much.
Oh yeah.
Like they remove some stuff from the engine compartment, and move like the battery and some other things to the trunk, so that way they can have more room for the engine, that V6 engine. And they add like maybe like 50 pounds or 50 kilograms. I think it's 50 kilograms of weight to the back, just so like when they're turning, like going into a curve or something at high speed, it doesn't like the back end doesn't go. Fishtail.
Fishtail. I was like, tailspin, whatever.
But yeah, I mean, I like the car. Yeah, it's gotten me a lot from point A to point B. You like that beer?
Yeah, you know, actually, like, I'm really surprised with this because I have Hayden's godfather, gentleman named Matthew Arch. He's head brewer at a place called the Granary.
Uh-oh.
Oh, is he coming in here?
Yeah. Yeah, he's right there.
Uh-oh.
What you need, buddy?
Are you gonna come say hello?
Nah, he's shaking his head
No.
now. He's right there if you want to come see him.
Hey. You gonna come over here? Hey, you can talk. Here, you can come sit up here for a sec. So, well, Hayden, this little one right here, his godfather's the head brewer at this place down in the Pearl Brewery called the Granary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, phenomenal barbecue place. They do more fine dining at night. Great spot, but one of their, well, I would always go there during lunch. You know, get the hookup. You know, gotta get the hookup. And there was this bartender. She would always work there, and she, I don't know, it's been a while since I've been there, so I don't know if she left, but I know that she does all the sales, like wholesale stuff for Ranger Creek. I was like, man, you know, I gotta try the beer, I gotta try the whiskey, and I've never had it. And then when I looked down at the can just now, and I was like, San Antonio Lager, and I was like, wait, I've heard that. And then, you know, it's Ranger Creek. I'm like, you know, this is actually a really, really, really solid beer. Like, it's...
Oh, yeah, all these microbreweries are coming up with, like, real good beers.
Well, it's just surprising to see stuff like that from San Antonio. Like, because, I mean, a lot of people in San Antonio... It's not a huge craft city, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's so content with the Bud Light and Budweiser. I mean, you know, the cheap carbonated alcoholic water. But it's to actually see, and I mean, there was only what, like, well, of course there was Pearl here, but for them not to really have many beers, and the main one that was, you know, starting to blow up, Freetail, and then Carbot came along, and then I was just seeing all these, like, real small ones, Weathered Souls. It's over off Bitters in 281. Mike, the owner's great, makes quality beer. Busted Sandal, you know, just like seeing all these places, like
Free Tales. Yeah,
like just making quality beer. In San Antonio, that's not your typical, like, I mean, because this is a really well-bodied, refreshing lager, and it doesn't have any sort of like a stale aftertaste like a lot of a lot of San Antonio beers have had. Thank you, bud. So you're gonna give me your Star Wars hat. And I was just talking about how much you like Star Wars and you like hockey.
I know, it's like perfect timing when you were talking about it. And he just came walking in like he already knew you were talking about him. But
Are you nervous? Shy?
yeah, he's a
Yeah,
little
you
shy. All 5-year-olds are shy. Gave me the evil eye right there.
And he's the. Hey, you're putting your head on the wrong way, bud. But you know, it's and I'm really. This makes me really want to go out and spend the. Stop it. To really go out and spend the the $35 on the 750 of the Ranger Creek whiskey.
Yeah.
So it's like when you have like a good inexpensive quality or inexpensive product, and it's good quality. I mean, I'm the kind of person that I'm gonna go and I'm gonna invest more money in that company.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I wanna do is that I wanna push, like, local stuff, like local quality, because even though it may be more expensive, but at least you know where it came from. You know who made it. You know that the type of work that they do. It's not like Walmart. It's not even H-E-B. I mean, I love H-E-B.
Yeah. Oh, H-E-B's.
But they're just getting too big. Yeah. I miss their small H-E-B stores.
You what? Okay. Hey, I'll go meet you out there in a little bit. Okay. All right. Here's your hat, bud. Say bye, Hayden. Can you shut the door? Thank you, bud. Pardon the interruption.
It's all good. It's fun times.
But so, hey, actually shut it. There's a. Oh, I was like, man, I lost my train of thought. So I mean, even like over here, there's one business that I'm like a huge avid supporter of. Everybody that knows me knows like I'm huge on Chicago. Like as much as I love San Antonio.
Keep talking about that. I need to go do something real quick.
All right.
Keep talking about that.
As I mean, as long as I've been in San Antonio, it's like there's still like a huge part of my heart is in Chicago, and there's this joint right next to one of the bars that I bartend at, bar/club. It's called Wrigleyville Grill, and Jimmy, the owner, I mean, he is about as north sider as you can get, and guy makes fantastic food. I mean, you have all the comfort foods from Chicago, from your Italian beefs, hot dipped, the Polishes that they use 100% real Vienna beef. They have gyros, and the tzatziki sauce is just on point. Always loads them up. And even the pizza puffs, man. Like, and for people that don't know, the pizza puffs they're basically a toaster strudel with pizza. I mean, like pizza stuffed toaster strudel, and bottle and pickle their own jarnaras. Like, I mean, it's everything about it's just on point. And Jimmy does a fantastic job of making sure to be personal and actually meet and talk to all of his guests. So, Wrigleyville Grill. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, there's a lot of good Chicago eat places over here. And what I was really disappointed with was Gino's East here. Like, Gino's East is one of the staples of Chicago-style pizza, in my opinion, after Home Run and Pizza and Giordano's. But it wasn't Gino's East down here. It wasn't.
I've noticed that a lot of restaurants that try to come down to San Antonio from Chicago, they don't exactly bring the same type of quality, or they don't survive because people here don't want that, I guess, Chicago type of dish, either that Chicago hot dog, Chicago pizza. It's very hard for that type of stuff.
I haven't seen a Chicago pizza place survive here forever, and that's something that I don't get. Is it's like, I mean, maybe it's because you have to eat it with a fork and a knife.
It's because we got Little Caesars here, dude. It's hard to compete against that $6 pizza, man.
Yeah, it's trash. Just like the city it comes from.
Good.
And for the people that don't know what city it comes from Detroit. And for those that don't know, Chicago and Detroit have very, 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 what's the word I'm looking for?
Deep rivalry.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, man, the Bears and the Lions, the Blackhawks and the Red Wings, which it is so great to be alive in this day and age where the Red Wings are trash now. I mean, not that the Blackhawks aren't too far behind them at this point, but that's, I mean, when you're up 3-1 in a playoff series and you're dominating all the ice time and then you just get shut right down and then lose in overtime in Game 7 after that 3-1 lead.
See, I don't understand hockey, man. I try watching it. I just don't understand it.
Oh, I know. You just sit there and you just be like, all right, so
oh, they're getting in a fight? Like that reminds me of the time when I went to Australia and I watched a sport called footy. And it's like
the rugby?
It's like rugby, but it's a lot more people on the field. Like,
is it the one? Okay, they had like YouTube compilations or something. There was some dude with like a big beard that just like trucks through like 20 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't run more than 10 yards or 15
without
yards.
Like tossing the ball back.
Yeah, backwards.
And
it's crazy. Like they can get into full on fist fights and not get ejected from the game.
Yeah, and they wear like boxer briefs and like
and
crop tops.
Yeah.
You know? Like they were next to nothing and they just lay each other out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when I saw that, I was all like, I don't understand what's going on, but I love all the fighting that's going on.
But I mean, to be fair, we live in a country where
that's the thing.
A huge sport that we have is like literally we trap two guys in a ring or a cage, and the only way they can get out is by beating the shit out of the other one.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
my Australian host at the time, I was like, wow, this game is really violent. They're like, what are you talking about? Y'all have football. That's way more violent than this.
See, and I don't understand how people think that, because like, you know, there's always, especially down in Texas where hockey isn't as popular, as, you know, you have the people like
football's life down here, man.
Well, see,
you don't mess around football.
I mean, the only thing I can say about football is I get tired of how much little details of the rules change every year. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like what's considered pass interference, what's considered roughing the passer, and it's just like, just make it black and white and just keep it that way. Like I understand that you want to protect these people from these career-ending injuries, but it's like, oh, you know, God forbid that these guys have any sort of risk when they're making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Well, the main thing, they just don't want
on a game.
They don't want any like over necessary.
Well,
tackle.
yeah, I mean, and it's also like when you got Tom Brady and like Peyton Manning, you know, two of the greatest quarterbacks that we've seen. You know, in the meantime, I'll even throw Aaron Rodgers into the mix because he is as well. Is you're gonna have.
Yeah, you're gonna have those happen.
Well, you can already see like in the NFL like that there are people who, regardless if they make millions of dollars, are still shitty people, like, and they stay shitty people. Like they just do more shit because they have more money to throw around and, you know, this and that. But it's like if they would, okay, and I'm not trying to pick on Cowboys fans whatsoever. Ezekiel Elliott, I'm just bringing him up because it was the most recent. You know, that kid, incredibly gifted athlete. You know, he like beat somebody up, like beat up somebody on a DJ booth, and then pulled down that chick's top.
It was
he had something that he just got suspended.
It was his ex-girlfriend. Was accusing him of
beating her,
harassing her. When actually, I'm not on Ezekiel Elliott. I'm just stating what I've read is that there's no evidence that's stating to back her claims, and then there's also might be some further evidence of her just saying that she was just trying to extort Elliott for money since he got a big
it's just like, look
NFL
at all the
contract.
Look at all the damn, you know, like, 20 years later, this person, you know, touched me when I was like 20 or when I was like 10, you know? Like, you see this Kevin Spacey, except for Michael Jackson, because those kids came out real quick about that. They were like, yo, this happened 3 days ago. Oh, 3 days ago? This happened 3 seconds ago.
But it's still hard to prove against Michael Jackson since he's not around anymore.
They're like, all right, man, you're the king of pop. I guess you can touch a little bit of little boy booty holes.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, no, I'm just there comes that dark sense of humor. But so with I'm just like I said, I'm just choosing Ezekiel Elliott just because this is what is relevant right now. So we're just gonna go ahead with the assumption that he did whatever. Let's I mean, even screw what he's actually been accused of. We'll just say he punched somebody because he was pissed, right? So he has an assault charge, right? Now, what's to say that? And I mean, you see this all the time in NFL games where these people get very, very, very passionate and very emotional.
Mm.
And I mean, you've seen. I don't know if you remember when. What
Oh,
was his name?
I play sports and I get emotional and I get passionate
Remember
about
when,
it.
Andre Johnson was when he he was playing with the was it Andre? Yeah, I think it was Andre Johnson. Somebody on the Texans, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're playing against the Dolphins. Ripped the dude's helmet off and like uppercutted him like 3 times in the face. And it's like, yeah, you get a lot of that kind of adrenaline and all that stuff flowing through your body. I mean, you're not exactly gonna make the smartest decisions. I mean, anybody who's ever had an adrenaline rush can tell you that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, so when you have like somebody like Tom Brady, who is barely hit, and you have somebody like, we'll just say Ndamukong Suh, a beast, and let's just say this beast has a little bit of an anger issue, and if they don't enforce, just really strict rules on this, roughing the passer thing, it's like, then these dudes
could be a career-ending Tom Brady.
Tom Brady wouldn't be Tom Brady. But at the same time, when you sit there and you give them all these stipulations, like, oh, well, it can happen if you take 2 steps, 45 degrees northwest and skip in on the second step, like just these ridiculous, contingencies for these to actually be penalties or not be penalties. You're going to give people who are going to try and weasel their way around it, and you're still going to get those career-ending injuries.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, man, just be like, hey, you know what? If there's forward motion, that's it. Passer interference. Or roughing the passer. Same with pass interference. They're like, it used to be, hey, if you touch the player before the player touches the ball or goes up for the ball, it's pass interference. Now there's so many things, and just like with the catches inbound, and it's like, why at a collegiate level can they master all this stuff, but on a professional level they can't?
It's just 2 different types of games.
Yeah,
to be honest.
it
NFL
is.
and college, it's just 2 different types of football being played.
But it's like for me, it's a lot of it is just that there's so much politics in football now that when they came up, and I'm not gonna get into the whole Colin Kaepernick and the kneeling stuff. I don't give a crap if somebody wipes their ass with the flag. I don't. It doesn't bother me. I mean, you look like an idiot, but I don't care. So I'll just nip that one in the bud right now.
And that's what I try to tell people sometimes, is that is the beauty and disgusting thing about this country, is that you have the right and the freedom to do what you want.
Necessarily
it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. You have that freedom and constitutional right to do that. You may piss off a lot of other people, but all those other people that have to do is just ignore them.
Yeah.
And that's all you got to do. But people forget that that's their right as a U.S. citizen.
Well, I think that anybody that's going to get so upset over somebody kneeling during a song, I don't understand it. I'll just say that. I don't understand it, so I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to say anything that's disrespectful, because I can't fathom that. If somebody, I'm sorry, but if somebody were to come up to me and they were to talk shit about a song that I wrote, which I guarantee you I have far more of a personal connection with than anybody in the United States does with the national anthem, because they didn't write that song.
Yeah.
And it's not a part of them. I just can't fathom how somebody could be so upset to cause such a ruckus over it. And I mean, I get the whole oh, well, if you don't like America, get out of here. It's like, hey, like you said, man, you have the freedom to express yourself, It's like, you have the freedom to, you have the right to gather with people and openly voice these things.
Non-violent.
Yes. No. Non-violent. Yes.
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
That's the thing. A lot of people forget though is that they're
yeah.
supposed to be non-violent. Like you have a right to like gather.
They're not all violent,
but they
also,
sometimes get violent.
Oh yeah. Oh, certainly. Yeah. I mean, like, trust me. And it's funny because people always like if I open my mouth about one subject, they're like, "Oh man, this guy's super liberal." I'm like, "No, I'm definitely not super liberal." And then I'll open my mind up, And I mean that goes as far as like we'll just say civil rights. Like I'm very avid believer that everybody should be treated the same. Don't care what color your skin is, which imaginary friend you hold higher than the other, or says it is real and isn't real, or if you like kissing dudes or girls. I don't care. Everybody should be treated the same. Then I turn over to the other side, and it's like me as a gun owner. It's like I am very conservative with my beliefs as far as guns. Mm-hmm. And people are like, how can you be so much for social justice but support gun laws? And I'm like, it makes sense to me. Like, I mean, I'm not going to sit there. I mean, I'm also not somebody who's going to go out and be like, oh man, I'm pissed, or my life's hell, let me go kill people to make me feel better. You know what I mean?
Well, that's another thing is that people like to complain and they like to bring up issues, even in politics. And one thing that I don't like to talk about politics. I just want to convey like my feeling towards people getting out there and voting. Like, I don't know if you vote.
Yep.
But in the last mayor and city council for the local elections here in San Antonio, that less than 10% of the city's population came out and voted. And even this past
a few days ago.
Yeah, this past few days ago on November 7th, guess how many of the registered voters in Bexar County came out and voted?
It was I feel was it less than 10%?
Way less. No less way. Than 4%, record low, came out and voted.
Wow. But and that's the thing, like, is.
But people will complain even though they didn't vote, and then they say that voting doesn't do anything. Yeah, it doesn't do anything because you don't vote.
It's not just that. It's like, I mean, I think there's just a huge lack of common sense with a lot of people. And if you think that any of this stuff is about you, it is. I'll make that plain and simple. Not you in particular, Greg. I'm just.
Everything's about me.
But it's like, people get so much into this whole social media, like social activism. And don't get me wrong, it is always great to stand up for what you believe in, unless it's like murder or rape or stuff like that. Oh, yeah. That's definitely not good.
Anything non-violent, I will stand up for.
Well, it's like, and it's just like, they think that just because they shared something on Facebook, or just because they said something to somebody that lives halfway across the world, that they changed something. But like, there's, that life exists outside of a computer or a cell phone. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. That's why I don't think people like grasp that. And I'm like, cool, that's great that you're like posting about how knowledgeable you are on current events and politics and stuff like that. Like me, and I'll just go ahead and, since I already delved a little bit into politics, like, I'll just go ahead and throw the religion thing out the window real quick. I'm a nihilist. Like, I don't believe in gods. Like, just doesn't. And I used to be a very religious person. I'm very, very, very highly knowledgeable.
Now, what is a nihilist?
It's somebody that doesn't believe in gods or deities, anything like that. Like,
isn't that an atheist as well?
Similar. The big thing about nihilism, though, is I am very vocal about my disgust with religion. And a lot of that I feel is absolutely justified. I mean, I studied a lot in theology. I've read the Bible more than your average Christian has. Now, not that I don't think that the Bible has great morals and stories and ethics on which to live your life by. Mm-hmm. I just personally think that's all it is. And I think that's all it should be taken as. I can't say anybody's right or wrong because we won't know till we're dead and we can't prove it to each other after we die. But
what about Scientology?
Yeah,
is that right?
Fucking idiots. Like I back science 110%, but the fact that somebody would throw that in with religion and make some mumbo jumbo stuff up,
and you have to pay ridiculous amounts of money to move
yeah,
up in
it's
that.
well, I mean that's the Roman Catholic Church for you right there. I mean they had to.
That's true.
I mean the Roman Catholic Church was just so corrupt when it first started, and I mean it's like, it's a lot of people don't understand a lot of the stuff in the Bible. And this is one thing that I always urge Christians to do: educate yourself before you start going. And I mean, if you want to go ahead and not necessarily push your beliefs on somebody, but talk to somebody and say, hey, because I've had a lot of Christians come up to me and be like, oh, talk to me about how I'm wrong. And I'm like, really? Okay, let's bring up these verses, these verses, these verses. And they're like, what? I've never heard those. And I'm like, I know, because you didn't read the Bible. You heard this last Sunday in church that you probably went to hungover as hell, and that's the only thing you retained from it. Not saying that every Christian's like that. Sorry, once again, like I'm very blunt with stuff. So the thing for me is, and I will just say this for, hopefully I don't start a riot, is the Christian God, just going by off of what the Bible states in the Old Testament, was a very maniacal being. He was very murderous, very vengeful, very angry.
That's Old Testament, right?
Yeah.
If I remember.
Yeah, Old Testament.
Yeah.
And even in the New Testament, I wish I could remember the verse, but it talks about how the God of the Old Testament was of wicked ways. And a lot of people think that, oh, Jesus came down to forgive us for our sins. If you actually read the context of the Bible was more of God sent himself to humble himself, to be amongst one of the imperfect, and to suffer as one in the most extreme way possible, to basically get forgiveness from the people. And people don't see that. Like, they think, oh, well, God did this for us.
Well,
it's like, I mean, in a sense, I guess you could say that, but it's not portrayed that way.
People are just looking for something to lean onto, something to give them faith, give them hope. And some people need that. They need that extra support.
Well, faith is a beautiful thing.
It is.
No matter what it is. I mean, I don't care if you're Muslim, if you're Jewish, if you're Confucianist, if you're a Buddhist, it doesn't matter. Like, to sit there and to live your life essentially blindly and put your whole existentialism on something that you can't prove to be real even to yourself, per fact, that's a beautiful thing. Like, I mean, that's why, like, for me, like, yes, I disagree with religion as religion, and like not just like, oh, Christianity or Judaism, excuse me, just as a whole, as an entity or an organization, just because I don't believe that religion's ever definitively done something good. Now, each person's beliefs are completely different.
Yeah, everybody's beliefs and will always come out with a different conclusion.
I mean, you're going to have, just like, you're going to have absolutely terrific Christians. I mean, I've met some of the best people I've met my entire life. Christian folks.
Yeah.
My grandfather was idol of mine. Like, that was my second father. That is who I wanted to be when I grew up. After he retired from the Air Force as a colonel, after 44 years of service, he worked basically two full-time jobs for churches in Camden, Missouri. Full-time. Did not take any money.
Wow.
Yeah, he was part of the, what is it, the Knights of Columbus? Is that what they...
Yeah.
He's Catholic. And what's funny is, like, for me, like, Catholicism is the second most sector denomination in Christianity that I disagree with. And that's why, like, a lot of the boldness of these sects and denominations and religions are overlooked because a lot of the people don't fall in line with the characteristics of what they originated from. Which is, I mean, great, because you don't want these churches scamming people out of money for, oh, hey, you can buy your way into heaven, this kind of stuff, that kind of stuff. You also don't want any of those holy crusades and the jihads of, like, you know, just people dying senselessly for nothing more than just somebody else's faith or disagreements with it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we live in a day and age where the worst thing that we have to worry about is Scientology. You know what I mean? Some nut jobs.
Well, there's some other things that we have to worry about,
Yeah.
like what happened this past weekend at
Yeah.
Sutherland Springs, which my condolences go out and deepest thoughts go out to those families and victims that had to go through that.
Yeah, it was absolutely horrific.
It's just sad that that's just becoming another
Norm.
thing in today's life, like another shooting. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I won't even. That it is far too soon to even dive into politics or beliefs on something like that. I mean, the fact that you had I believe it was.
Let's just say a lot of people dropped the ball. A lot of people dropped the ball on that, and just certain things weren't followed, and he was.
That's why things are so important. You know, like that's why the things are laid into place so that things like that don't happen. But you know, the fact that I believe it was 14 people under the age of like
10.
It was like a majority, or almost around half of the victims were children. It's
sad.
You know, you look at that and you know, just like I remember when the Sandy Hook shooting happened, and just seeing like, you know, the live feeds of, you know, these classrooms and buildings, you know, evacuating. I mean, especially me as a father, it's like that stuff's hard. That happened. What was it? Was it December of 2012?
I think so.
I think it was. That was 2 months before Hayden was born, and I remember watching it. And then you have these people on, you know, social media that are just like, you know, oh, Illuminati, this didn't really happen. And I'm just like, man, I would like to see you go up to one of those parents and say, hey, you know what, your kid didn't die, you know, like, and they wonder why there's so much desensitized, you know, BS, you know, that goes around. It's like, you know, I think it's just because, you know, we're subjected to these types of terrors, you know, like on a norm.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you know, that'll do some desensitizing, but when you have people that don't take it seriously or sit there and are like, oh no, this isn't real.
And that's the problem. Like, people are too much into social media that a lot of people, I've seen and known a lot of people that literally just drop their Facebook, they drop all their social media because either they don't like what it's becoming or they can't handle it themselves. They can't see the difference between real life and social media life. I've known some people that get upset because you don't like their posts or you don't comment on their posts. I'm like, why do I have to comment? Because you should show me some type of affection. I'm all like, I'll give you a like.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you expect me to give you. Like, it's social media.
Yep.
Like,
well, I mean, like for me, like the only reason why I use social media is to repost like funny memes and to spread my music.
Yeah, and I like to spread, like, I'm a science-based individual. I graduated with a degree in geology, so I try to like share anything that has to do with advancement of our knowledge of understanding this world or our culture.
Yeah.
Or some type of events.
Well, I mean, those are positive outlets. It's not like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I am very guilty for loving to like go onto like random pages and troll. Like, I sometimes like I get off to it, but it's like.
What is it that gets you off on trolling though? That's what I'm trying to understand. Like, I just find it like.
Well,
when people
it's only with like ridiculous stuff. Like, I'm not gonna go up and like, you know, random post and just be like, you know, knock off on somebody. So like, for the people who are, you know, extremely, I don't know. Okay, like the alt-right people. Like, I'll go in there and I'll just like, you know, if somebody says some like ridiculous, you know, fascist sounding BS. I'll just like go in there and like post a picture that I photoshopped of Hitler gay, you know, like, and then they're like, oh my god, I can't. There's a really bad one that because you'd have like those pages that would be like, oh, like, oh, don't smoke the devil's lettuce, reefer madness, like all that stuff, and it's like Marilyn Manson is the devil type stuff, like all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, um, which isn't cool to like be about, because I mean you look at the West Memphis Three, where Damien Eccles was wrongly accused for murder and was almost sentenced. Well, he was sentenced to death, but he was almost actually
Yeah.
executed over something he didn't do, just because they looked different. But even going past that, like you have the people who like if I comment on something or tag somebody, and somebody like comment something that's just like overly like, yo, you are wrong because you don't believe in God. I have okay. So there's a couple pictures that I'm just like, man, they're hilarious, and I mean I don't find them, and the only reason why I don't find them very offensive is because I don't.
How about this? How about this?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay away.
How about this? We just agree that some people are crazy, and
Yeah.
we all like to live the lives that we want to live, according to a code or not. Whether most other people will agree with that or not, we're always going to have disagreements.
Oh yeah,
so
certainly. But
we
it's how
can
you
agree.
handle 'em.
We can agree to disagree on that.
Well, see, I'm just like trying to like, I don't want to like step on anybody's toes or say, hey, you're wrong because you don't think the way that I do, because I'm not like that. I'm one of the most open-minded people.
And I try to be the same way. Like I try to be open minded. Like I'll try to play like devil's advocate sometimes with some people.
That's all I do. That's all I do. Is
I'm like,
very
yes,
good
you
at
got
sitting-
some valid good points, but what about this?
And that's why politics has always estranged me so much, and that's why religion has always estranged me, because for me, I love science, and science contradicts religion so much, and vice versa, and it's like I'm just like, oh, I see where this is coming from, but I also see where this is coming from, and that, back and forth. Same with politics, man. Like, I'm sorry, the left. I hate to inform you that you are wrong on stuff, but you're also right on stuff. Same to the right. It's like.
That's why I think I'm in the middle, because I like
The social justice needs to happen. And, economically, we need to be more conservative. I mean, to me, like, I don't see how anybody else can see it differently. Me personally, I think politics should be regarded more as...
I think the problem is that we just have two parties.
Well, it's so, like, head to head against each other, when it should be, instead of, like, we agree with this but don't agree with this type stuff, that it should be more of like, hey, this is the stuff that needs to happen, rank your level of importance. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So at least everybody's on the same page. It's just a matter of fact of what's getting done first and what needs to get done first.
Which, by the way, everything that we're talking about, we have the freedom to do this because of our veterans that have served and who are currently serving, which I greatly appreciate every single one of them. All my friends that are serving, y'all give us this beautiful thing called freedom. So thank you very much. But yeah, let's get away from this. Let's go back to what you love and what you love to do.
Well, actually, you know what? Like, I want to say something on behalf of the veterans. I come from a military family. I mean, you know that. I have a bunch of friends that are in the military, and they're all extremely humble people, They're, no matter if I tell them, like, hey, thank you, for doing this for us, for our country, this and that, our rights.
They always say, thank someone else.
Yeah.
Thank.
Like, I mean, that's the thing is, I think that society needs to have that mentality, and that's where I'll end off on that. But thank you all for your service, each and every one of you. I mean, it's something that I could not do. And, something that I hear a lot is the stuff that I put forth to my music and to my art and that kind of stuff that, people are always like, hey, thank you, not thank you. Like, that they can't do this and that. They don't have the talent. Talent doesn't take heart. And that's a big thing. Like, I can put my heart into stuff. I can pour my heart down on stuff.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there is nobody that should be held higher in regards to in this country than our service members. I don't care if you are in the front line or if you are pushing papers. Like, you're doing a service to every single citizen. Well, citizen, PRA, RA, doesn't matter. Every person in this country. And no matter what you do, and I mean, there's a lot of, depression, suicides in the military. lost 2 buddies to that
Mm.
in the last year. And it's you're doing something for the greater good of things, and that is something that no matter what I might do, because I will never be able to join the military, that I could never even do. You know, I mean, hell, my job is to get people intoxicated. Well, I mean, I'm actually
Not
supposed
intoxicated.
to. Yeah,
Just
nobody
make them
that.
feel good about themselves.
Yeah, I'm supposed to responsibly serve alcohol to guests. But and sometimes I feel like, people. I mean, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people that want to, be friends with me, that kind of stuff, because they want free stuff, and I mean, I get it. Like, I'd be a liar if I said I never did that before. But on the ultimate, like, that totem pole, society, in that nature will put me above somebody like a pencil pusher that's a service member. I don't get that. I just wanted to express my gratitude and the level of importance that I think that every service member should be upheld to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I feel like it's not stressed enough. Even though, I mean, it is stressed.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be just a day. It should be.
Exactly.
I think a week, if anything.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it should be an everyday thing. Like, whenever I talk to somebody and I, first time, I meet them, what have you, and I find out that they're a service member, I always thank them for their service. That's something that even, to be honest with you, even if I could do, and I tried, signing up for the Navy when I was 17 years old, going through the delayed entry process program, but I don't think I would have had the balls to do it. Like, straight up. I mean,
I think I enjoy freedom too much.
Yeah,
is the problem.
I don't think. I mean, as selfish as it sounds, I don't think I can sacrifice my freedom to make sure everybody else is free. But,
yeah.
I mean, that's just me being honest, and like I said, I'm very blunt about stuff. I mean, even if I throw myself under the bus, like, I mean, that's just where my level of respect is so highly held. Me being the first male in my family to not be a service member.
Oh, it must be tough, but hey, you're doing what you're getting back to doing what you love. You're doing your music. You're making songs. You're writing songs out.
And that's my thing, is like a big thing with me doing this is I just want this to happen once, and I'll be completely okay with dying after that. I mean, not really, but you know what I mean, mentally, emotionally. Is I want my music to touch somebody's life the way that it has helped me rebuild mine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it is done for me. All the medications that I've had to be on. It has done so much for my mental health, coming from where I've come from before. I dealt with a lot of substance abuse. I dealt with a lot of clinical depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, you name it. Like, I went through some very, very, very dark, troubling times in life, and it was. I think the more I got into music was better than any pill or treatment plan or Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous stuff could have ever set forth, because there was a point in my life where, like, this was like killing me. I was drinking so much to the point where I had alcoholic gastritis. I was drinking damn near a liter of 100 proof liquor a day. Like, it was really bad.
Spending too much money.
Yeah, it was just my life was a wreck. And now I can sit here and I can have one drink and be like, all right, fine. And this is not working, these programs that supposedly make your life better. Excuse me. But because I found something that heals me. Not just a one-time thing, but something that keeps
long
me
run.
on. Yeah.
Keeps you focused, keeps you driven, something that gives you a passion to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, when I'm gone, I want that to continue to, like, work on somebody. Like, I want somebody to be able to listen to my music, because the way I'm going to release,
and give them some type of inspiration to continue that.
Yeah, because here's the thing, is like, I'm gonna do each release separate for each project, but then I'm also gonna do a release, and I mean, it's not gonna be physical copies because I'm not gonna have the money for that, but it'll all be free download stuff. song 1 through 365 in the order that I wrote them. And so maybe somebody can see the type of emotional trend and roller coaster that I was on throughout points where it's like, yo, man, if this keeps up, you might not live past 30. Plot spoiler, that's like a couple years away from me.
That's a couple days for me.
It's like, that's right. Um, so it's like, and I mean, I'm not at that point because now there is far more knowledge surrounding what's actually wrong with me. And I'm like, man, I would be so happy if that was, if that's the center of my epilepsy. But there's no way to know unless, like, I pretty much won't ever know because it's going to be like, hey, you know what, this thing's gone and you haven't had a seizure ever again. So is epilepsy something that can just creep up on you? I mean, you never know. But, and that's the thing, like, my music and picking up photography and writing lyrics and doing graphic design has really helped me, I don't want to say like provide an outlet or like a positive outlet, but it's just because it's done a lot more than that. Like, it's certainly,
It gives you for
me.
lack of a better word, it gives you a high. It gives you that
It has
that
like I had a void for so long that I always try to fill with substances and lust and this and that, and it's like I didn't start actually feeling like that void didn't exist anymore until I was just literally every waking moment just thinking about music and art and doing this and that. Everything I would do would have to be centered around it. And I mean, that's why like I take my computer with me everywhere I go because I never know when I'm going to start working on something. But I just kind of got in that mindset and didn't let it go, and I keep holding on to it. So much of more is making a treasure for myself. And I mean, if somebody just happens to be going through something even remotely similar and like, just listening to a few of the songs and they're like, man, like, yo, I remember, or like, if somebody's like, yo, I don't want to be around anymore, nobody loves me type thing. And then, here's just one song and just realizes, hey, you know what, like somebody else feels like, like I do right now. And they went past it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want to be able to reach out to at least one person. And even if I don't know about it, I mean, that's completely fine. Maybe it's already happened. I don't know. I mean, I've been playing music for so dang long. I mean, it very well could have happened. Because, I mean, trust me, I've wrote plenty of songs about that stuff.
How many bands have you been on?
Oh, God. Oh, I don't even know.
My point being is that all those bands that you've been on, all those crowds that you played the music for, you've inspired them even just for that night. That one night, you've inspired them. You could potentially even change a person's whole train of focus on life during that time. So it's happened. You've done it. You've done it more than once, probably.
Yes, I just want to keep like I mean that's I guess my way that I feel like I can contribute.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, if I catch wind of it, because I've had a couple buddies, like my buddy Dylan is an unbelievable musician, played with the with Josephine Collective. I had a lot of fun with those dudes, great guys, and he now has a awesome project called Mime Game, MIME, and he was like that kind of inspiration to me when I felt like down out. I mean, when I first heard them, they were just like a local band from Kansas, and then I had to row with them a couple times and became really close friends with Dylan, and this was right after they got signed to Warner Brothers Records. And he was that kind of that musical inspiration to me. And it wasn't just like, oh well, why wasn't it Yngwie Malmsteen or some other unbelievable guitarist or what have you. And that's because knowing Dylan on a personal level and actually being able to discuss those things and then see how his music, like how he portrayed it through his music, because he is a very visual musician. He does such a fantastic job at painting pictures with not just his lyrics but his melody. I mean, the dude sounds crazy on the microphone sometimes. He the control over his voice, and he just does very non-traditional things with his vocals that give it so much character and give it so much emotion and passion.
You have the names of any of his albums or songs that?
Yeah. Well, the one that really hit me was the band was Josephine Collective.
Josephine Collective.
And the album was We Are the Air. His new band, Mime Game, MIME. Anything that they have put out has just been fire. I'll definitely have to throw a link up on there or something. I mean, it's incredible music. It's very
it's inspirational to you.
It's well, not just that,
but motivating.
It is motivating. It's very suitable for anybody who likes music. I mean, if you like rock, pop, he does such a great job at just catering to his own needs and everybody else's as far as music. One of the most talented songwriters I've ever heard. And, I'll tell him that, 1,000 times. But, that dude, what he's done for me musically and then, emotionally, that kind of stuff.
Is what you want to do for other people.
Exactly. And, it doesn't have to be oh, hey, I'm your counselor. Because don't get me wrong, it's not he listened to me talk a lot of stuff, But it wasn't oh, hey, I'm your counselor, let's therapist, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying, if somebody needs that, by all means, I'm, I'm a very open person. But it's just, I want my music to heal somebody like it has healed me, and his music has helped heal me, maybe it'll inspire somebody to do the same.
Hey, well,
and
just
pass it down,
Keep doing it, man. Keep busting out these songs. Keep writing them out. Either if it takes you a day to do it, if it takes you a week, month, just keep busting them out. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I want to do for my podcast. Is just I want to be able to give people that extra reach. I mean, yeah, it's small right now, but who knows? Maybe it'll grow into something. Maybe I'll be able to reach across the city. Maybe reach across the state. Yeah. But we'll see. I'm not dreaming of it. I'm not planning on it. If it happens, great, awesome. I'm doing this basically for me. I want to reconnect with people. I want to understand what other people are going through. Yeah. I want to understand other viewpoints of life, and that's what I want to do. And it makes me happy to do this. And just like your songwriting makes you happy to do this makes me happy. I mean, I like my job, but it's not mind stimulating. This is mind stimulating for me. Putting this together, getting it going. Even when you came in here, dude, you got a great setup. Yeah. It could be better. I just see things right now. I want to have more artwork, but that's in time. Right now, I'm on a budget. I'm going to Australia in December, the whole month of December. So.
For how long though?
From the 5th to the 5th.
Okay, so you're not gonna be gone like you were before.
Oh, I'm gonna be gone.
Well, you were gone for
I was only gone for 2.5 weeks last time. This time I'm gonna be gone for a month.
Oh wait, no, you were in. No, my bad.
No, you're thinking
when you're in whatchamacallit?
West Texas.
Where were you before then?
Oklahoma.
I think it was Oklahoma.
Working.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was when you were working.
Working on those oil rigs.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I don't want to go back to those jobs. No, thank you. But yeah, you have any maybe bands that you're gonna be playing with soon, or anything you got coming up?
Honestly, right now, I have all my music up on SoundCloud. It's soundcloud.com/IamWayneFow. That's WAYNEF as in Foxtrot. AU. I am completely open for musicians to come and join me and collab on stuff. I'm not charging anybody that wants to come and collaborate with me. If we make something special, we make something special. If we make something garbage, I could have done it by myself and made it garbage too. So I'm not concerned with that. But there's 2 projects on there, and both of which I have songs uploaded. One's called Native Estate. It's a very 90s-esque post-grunge band, similar to like Basement and Balance and Composure. And another one called Rationalist, which is a very melodic metalcore, death metal, whatever you want to say, band. Deal predominantly with the 8-string guitars that I'm actually looking for live musicians for.
Mm-hmm.
The one for Native Estate, I have people that like in mind that I would love to play with. Hopefully they'll come through.
Are they just busy with their own lives? Or?
Yeah, and I mean it's not like I'm trying to make this stuff all serious, but the Rationalist one, I mean, if you got an 8-string guitar, 7-string guitar, I mean,
you know who you should get back into playing live music with?
Who?
You should get Josh back into it.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew you were gonna say that. Him and Jordan actually. I've been waiting for Jordan to ask me if he could sing on something because I see him.
Dude, just ask.
Like Jordan Johnson, I see you. He'll like stuff on Facebook, and dude has a great voice, and Josh has always been a talented guitarist. Like, I mean, actually, you know what? I'm gonna after this, I'm gonna send him a song that I think that they would like. Very like early 2000s, like Census Fail-ish. But yeah, I mean, like I'm looking for live musicians just in case I want to play this stuff and showcase it, just in front of a live audience one time only. I don't care. But I mean, as far as if you want downloads of my songs, doesn't matter. Just reach out to me. Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, doesn't matter. I mean, I have no problem giving away my music for free. I do everything from, like I said earlier, country to death metal to producing hip hop beats. Like, I got you on your next mixtape. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my thing is, I'm just trying to give back what we didn't have in this local music scene because everybody was just so torn apart, and that's like what everybody was setting their ways with. And it's, I mean, I don't care if it's if it's recording somebody like a full band, I'm gonna have to charge for my time. So anyone wants to come in and lay down an acoustic song, by all means, I'll do it for free. Somebody needs graphic design. I mean, a lot of my friends know, like, there's been buddies of mine that I've just been like, hey, let's go take pictures. Hey, here's some design work that I did for you just for the hell of it. And people, like, the buddies that I've done it for have been so grateful because they understand how much of a struggle it is to have to deal with the personal life and then trying to put all the shit together. So I'm trying to be more of a service to people. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I should take advantage of it while it's free before I start getting tired. And I'm like, hey, at least like buy me a pack of smokes or something,
or a 6-pack maybe.
Yeah. Well, a 6-pack will last me a while. I would love to be endorsed by Pineapple Fanta. That's my jam. Caffeine free.
Oh man.
Yeah, I could probably live off of Pineapple Fanta and those gummy lifesavers, the Collisions ones. Every time I go to the gas station, I always pick up like 3 of them, like 3 of the packs of them, and I'm like, shouldn't be doing this.
I stay away. I try to stay away from sugar as much as I can, man.
That's like the only sugar I eat.
Well, the only sugar I get is pretty much from beer.
Oh, yeah.
And that occasional maybe splurge on a Saturday night, get some cookies or cake or ice cream. I don't know. It's only like one day out of the week though I splurge on sugar.
Wait, have you splurged this week?
Yeah, last night I got some ice cream, man, and I got some raspberry with vanilla. Gelato. Is that how you, gelato? Gelato. Yeah, gelato. Man, it's so good. Especially when you got to that mixed part. Ah, so good. But, alright. Last thing. Your favorite band of all time.
Ooh. Man, that's tough. That's real tough. You can't ask me that.
You want me to give you mine?
What is yours?
I
feel like I know this.
I've gotten all their albums ever since I first heard them. Probably back in 2007, 6.
Okay, I do know this one, but I don't know. I'm gonna headbutt something after this.
It's Rise Against.
Oh my God, that's right. That's right. Because we would be
some people would say it's not real rock music,
wasted.
but I'm all like, they have rock music.
We'd be wasted belting out Swing
And then
Life Away.
there'd be emo. They'd be all like, that's emo. I'm like, it's not emo.
Ah man, I guess if I had to, there's one that's sticking out to me right now, and I don't know if it's because I have their backpack on the floor, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I mean, like I'm ashamed. Like, okay, I have Trapped tattooed on me. Their logo tattooed on me. The back off, I'll take you on, Headstrong Dudes. And that was more of a joke, but I actually like they're one of my top bands. But I would probably have to go with Slipknot. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I'd probably have to go with Slipknot. Man, yeah. I see. I feel kind of wrong saying that, but I mean, it's definitely not.
Hey, they're a good rock band,
It's
man.
not
They've always
like
been good.
untrue.
But all right, let's wrap this up. Where do people get a hold of you, and how can they get a hold of you?
Facebook, Instagram. My handle is I am Wayne Fau for everything. Once again, my last name is spelt F-A-U. F as in Foxtrot, A-U. First name is Wayne, like Lil Wayne, but I'm a little bit taller than him. Yeah, I mean, anything on there, SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook. Shoot me a message if you want to do anything. I mean, if you need artwork done, photography done, let me know. Photography, as long as it fits my schedule and it's not too expensive for me to travel. And I'm talking only to San Antonio. I don't mind doing shoots for free, but yeah, I mean, whatever I can do to be a service of people in a creative sense would be great.
And I didn't share this last time, but if for some reason y'all want to get more connected with me, y'all can get a hold of my Twitter account at GregRU87 or my Instagram, which is, don't laugh at my username, but I've had this ever since the beginning and I'm not changing it.
Big Curly
13. Big Curly 13. Just a stupid nickname that was given to me way back when I first started as a lifeguard at City World. I'm never going to change it. But yeah, also from time to time I'll be playing some music samples that Wayne will give me at the end of the audio version podcast, which will be available on iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. So thanks for joining in, guys. See you on the next time.
Thank you, guys.
And happy Veterans Day to all those serving and who have served.